Okay. Vikings the other day have made it official. They re-signed Stephen Weatherly, which is something that I was really hoping would happen as soon as I saw that the Panthers cut him. The fan base is kind of, they're doing their typical thing, like, "Ooh, why are we signing him? He's not a superstar." Well, we need depth. I mean, if you can't tell after this past season that we need pass rushing depth, I don't know what to tell you. Weatherly didn't do much with the Panthers, but look, some guys they're just good in certain systems, and Weatherly was pretty good here. And I was sad to see him go last year. I was hoping we could keep him, um, but he's back now. I don't know that he'd be a starter. It's possible. I think he's more going to be like just rotation depth. I mean, I still think that in the draft that's going to be a high priority is defensive line. But I don't think this should be the last former Viking that we bring in or we bring back here in this offseason. I'm not like this. I'm not the like, oh, this guy used to play for the Vikings, or used to play for any Minnesota sports team. Let's get him back now. You know, Typically, if once the guy leaves, it's like, okay, you're gone. Thanks for the memories. I think there's actually quite a few guys we could bring back this offseason, and it wouldn't just be for sentimental purposes. So we got Weatherly, which I really wanted. I was calling for. I don't think he should be the last defensive lineman we should bring back. Now, all this is pending, how much a guy would cost and stuff. I mean, the obvious one is Everson Griffin. I mean, I know there was the little kerfuffle a while back where he tweeted something bad about Kirk Cousins, and then he deleted it and apologized. So I don't really know what all that was about. Like, but I mean, you know, Griffin would be. I think it would be good to get him back. I mean, I really do. Like, again, we need pass rushing depth. Would he be a starter, like an unquestioned starter? I don't know about that, but you know, the grass wasn't greener for him last year. I think, I think he was pretty late signing with Dallas, and then he got traded to Detroit, or it might have been the reverse. And he didn't do much. It was like, sometimes the grass ain't always greener. You're in a system for 10 years in his case. And it wasn't always the Zimmer system, but I mean, you're in a system for a bunch of years, and then you leave for greener pastures or whatever, and it doesn't always work out that way. But you know, we know he works here. We know he has liked it here in the past, at least. I don't know. Maybe he hates Kirk Cousins, but like, he plays defense. He doesn't have to be buddies with Kirk Cousins, and he wouldn't cost that much, I don't think, because I don't think he's going to be necessarily a hot commodity in the free agent market. You could bring him back in here for maybe a couple million, and of course, it all depends on how much money they have. Everything depends on how much money they have. They haven't even gotten down to the cap yet. And then you move into the interior line. Linvall Joseph looks like he's going to be available again. I'm a little of all the names that I'm going to mention and have mentioned, he's probably the one I'd be least interested in bringing back, just because are you really going to bring back a guy in his 30s to for sure be I don't think he's going to be a starter. Like, I mean, he plays the same position as Michael Pierce. Now, that can be fudged. You can play guys who have similar positions. You can even play guys a little out of position on the defensive line. Zimmer did it in a playoff game against the Saints, and it worked wonders. I don't know that they would necessarily want it back, but I mean, again, after this past year, you need depth on that defensive line, because we got depleted, and we're not going to be depleted. We sure as fuck better not be as depleted this year. I mean, Hunter's coming back. People want to still believe that he's gone, but no, he's going to be back. Pierce is coming in. Now we got Weatherly back. Year two of Wanham, when he's not essentially, damn near our best pass rusher. And, we probably bring back Odenabo. And then you probably add a draft pick or two. Like, that's a good damn defensive line we got all of a sudden. So I don't know where Linvall Joseph would fit in if we wanted to bring him in. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like if you could bring him in at pretty close to like a veteran minimum, you know, I'd certainly take him over Shamar Stephen. Shamar Stephen will be cut at some point. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened already. Um, so yeah, we could bring 3 guys back and get the band back together. But we're not stopping yet. In the secondary, and I know a lot of people really don't like him, but Andrew Sendejo, man, he just kind of works in this system. Like he's not bad. He's not an elite safety by any means. He's not a game changer. But you got nothing at safety right now, aside from Harrison Smith, and you got Metellus, the rookie. He'd be a second-year player now, but he was a low draft pick. He barely played. You got to get something at safety. You got to have some. Maybe you're going to use a high round draft pick on a safety, but you're going to need some sort of depth there too. Again, shouldn't cost that much money. I don't think he would. I don't think Sendejo would cost a lot of money. Bring him in for cheap. Then you got a little depth out there besides Harrison Smith. Yeah, maybe Andrew Sendejo is going to kill one of your teammates in a friendly fire incident, but those are the prices you have to pay sometimes. I would absolutely bring him back, for cheap. I thought that last year too, but they went a different way. Of course, they were paying Anthony Harris. They're not going to be paying Anthony Harris now. I think Harris is for sure gone. Sendejo. So that's pretty much it for the defense. There might be some other former Vikings out there available on defense. I'm not aware of. I'm pretty sure Captain Marlin is retired, so I don't think we can bring him back as a slot corner. I suppose we do have a couple other former corners. I haven't heard anything, even like the hint of rumors about Xavier Rhodes. I think he did all right with the Colts, so they probably are going to bring him back, and they'd bring him back for more than we'd pay him. And Mackenzie Alexander, I don't know. I still don't understand why he only got 1 year, $4 million this past off season. He didn't do a whole lot with the Bengals, but they might bring him back anyway. I don't know. But again, even if one of those guys, got on the market and you could get him for cheap, let's do it. Something tells me Xavier Rhodes wouldn't want to come back here at this point. Alexander maybe, although he was mad that they played him in that Week 17 game a couple years ago. So I don't know. Those two aren't really, I don't think, are likely or a factor. But you can't turn it down. When you were playing some of the garbage that we were playing in the secondary last year, you can't turn down some of these guys just immediately. But we're not done. We're going to the offensive side of the ball. Well, technically, I don't know if I did. I think I did a video about Teddy Bridgewater back here as a backup. Obviously that's very unlikely. But offensive line, Nick Easton's out there. I don't think you'd want to bring him in as a starter. He's had too many injury issues. But you need depth. And I think they're going to do something in free agency at guard, and I don't think that would be like the splash. Like if that were to be the big off-season move at guard, I think people would, take pitchforks and torches to the Vikings facility. But again, he's been good with the Vikings. He's been good in our system. When healthy, he's good. You could have him in here as again, a depth piece. I'd certainly take him over something like Dakota Dozier or Drew Samia, who both are hopefully long gone from the Vikings here. But again, yeah, it's like let's do it. Let's bring Nick Easton back, and then we got one more. And I know nobody, probably nobody wants him either because they're like, what do you need a return guy for? Flash, Cordero Patterson. He's a free agent. I know that returns are not nearly as meaningful as they used to be. They've almost been completely legislated out of the league. But, you know, you get a couple, 2, 3, 4 key big returns in a year that can swing a game, that can swing a season. I mean, and we had a horrifically bad special teams this past year. We don't seem to have anybody set at any return position. I don't know. You know, you're not going to want to pay a bunch of money to a guy who just does returning for you. You know, you could use Patterson on offense. Like you know, he hasn't been used that much. You know, since leaving here. You know, as the back or receiver. But I mean, he could replace like an Amir Abdullah. He could be the new Amir Abdullah, and he could just kind of, you know, occasionally take a jet sweep or do one of these gadget plays. You know, and again, I think there is value in having a guy in your return game who a couple times a year can make a big play for you. You know, like, you know, he's not gonna be taking one to the house every week. He's not gonna be, you know, controlling a game in that way. That's just probably never going to happen in the NFL again. But I think there's some value in having a guy like Patterson who can really return. Because, I mean, we had nothing this past year. KG Osborne was a flop. Chad Beebe couldn't catch a damn thing. You know, we had threw a couple other guys out there to try. You know, we don't have anything. Unless you want to bring back Marcus Sherrills. I didn't even think of him. He's technically a free agent. I don't know if he's officially retired. I wouldn't bring him back, but hey, what the hell? If you want to just bring a guy in for returns, you know, you could do worse. But, so yeah, those would be, so I mentioned like 10 guys there, but I think the big ones for sure are Griffin and Sendejo. I think those are the two that really would be kind of almost no-brainers to bring in. You know, if the price is right, everything is if the price is right. You know, they're not gonna have a lot of money to throw around, but they'll have some. They're gonna end up with some money, and maybe all that, whatever money they end up getting down to, is all gonna go towards some sort of free agent guard who isn't Nick Easton. But you know, I think we could get the band back together this off season, and I don't think it's the worst idea. And you know, I know all these moves, if any of them that were made, they're going to get mocked by the fan base because the fan base just wants to be mad all the time. But some of them make sense. Some of them are just, you know, flights of fancy. But you know, Griffin. You know, I really wanted Weatherly. I got Weatherly. I really want Griffin and Sendejo. I really want to get those two. So if Rick Spielman sees this video, first of all, what the hell are you doing watching YouTube videos? You need to be out there, you know, managing the cap. But, you know, Griffin, Sendejo, and then, you know, after that, I would give some serious thought to like a Nick Easton or a Patterson, and maybe even Mackenzie Alexander if he doesn't hate the organization. But so we got about a week and change, I think, to go till free agency gets going. I know it's next week. Some day is like the official beginning. You know, it's going to get wild pretty soon. It's not going to get as wild as some fans want. You know, the fan base now seems to want Danielle Hunter to want to be gone. I don't understand that. Why you would want that? I don't. You know, these same people want Kirk Cousins gone. They want to just, you know, have nobody apparently on the roster. But but those are cheap moves, and they'd be fun. It'd be fun to have some of these guys back because, you know, especially Griffin, because we all love Everson Griffin. So, you know, make the call, Rick.